Is there anything the seeking could seek and even find that would make this awareness more of what it already is? Is there anything in the phenomenal world at all that can make the awareness more itself? Even when awareness turns around to look at itself, notice itself for the first time, and even if it does that thousands of times, is it changed? Or is really the only effect of awareness noticing itself that it has a calming, slowing effect on the mind and body? The more that awareness notices itself, the calmer and the more peaceful the body-mind is. And when awareness begins to notice itself very frequently and pays less and less attention to thoughts, the mind and body begin to feel extraordinarily good. But even 20, 30 years ago, when awareness was constantly watching thoughts, always watching thoughts, phenomena, and the body-mind felt very contracted and tight, was the awareness any different even then? As I began to really put some attention on this, the seekingness began to, it was just like something going on its own. I just let go of the seeking. It didn't mean it stopped. It just like a wind-up toy, it just went off on its own, doing its thing, trying to get towards some imagined future perfect version of me, what I look like when I'm awakened or something like that. And gradually this identification, sometimes in a sudden way, sometimes gradual, sometimes a sudden jump, a deeper recognition that I'm never going to get anywhere at all. Whatever's sought and whatever's found will not affect me. That I'm not the one that has forgotten what I am or identified with the body in the first place. The deep recognition that I am this body is just a thought that's very much believed and given a lot of validity to. And at some point later in this body-mind's evolution, the thought will arise, I'm not this body. And then later still, in terms of clock time, the thought will arise somewhere in this brain, I am the awareness. And then even later still, the next thought that will come is, everything is this awareness. And the awareness is just watching this the whole time. Just watching, not even invested in this thought process, that the seeking is a thought process. From when the body arises, the first thought may be something like, this is what I am. And however much time it takes from that thought to that final thought of everything is the awareness, and how much practice seems to go in between that, has never for 1 second changed me as the awareness at all. When I really figured this out, the seeker became very depressed. Well, what's been the point of this really long journey then? Like, what's the purpose of it? I don't have any direction now. I don't have anything to move towards, although it found some things, of course, and carried on. And there was a kind of an apathy. What's the point of all of this then? And eventually the thought arose, is to find this that never changed, never even identified with the body in the first place, has never been involved in any of that, identifying or de-identifying. Just to see what I've always been. And then to see that I didn't really even need to do that as the awareness. When I take the shape as a human being, then I seem to want to find my way home again at some point. Only to recognize I never left, of course. And I'm saying this so that something inside you may come to the same understanding, may help to shortcut that process where you realize that there is nowhere for you to get to. And the only thing to accept really is that you are already the unchanging self, showing up as all this change, showing up as a body, mind, and showing up as a seekingness itself, an action, a movement. And it may be the only reason it seems to take so long is because we've been told that to move towards some future moment is how to get anything we want. And it works pretty much for everything else except this. Any movement towards something is a movement away from now. Not really true that, because you can't get away from now, but a movement that disturbs the peace that's already here. And that this comparing and contrasting mechanism where I think I am, and I'll stress that where I think I am in my awakening, and where I think I need to get to, is this core division that makes me feel restless in itself when I'm identifying as that mechanism. And if I have a goal or a purpose, that I'm still identifying with the seeking. And something subtle in the quietest of moments can suddenly realize this. Very normal, very quiet, sudden understanding that wasn't there before. That seeking is not what I am, actually. It's just something that's going on in front of me. And maybe always will, but I don't have to ride that train, the train that never stops. When I began to recognize this after the seeker got depressed and apathetic, they decided to it needed to find a new goal, some purpose. So it jumped on this, I'm going to wake everyone else up on the planet train, which I'm sure you've done yourself. I'm going to get this truth, and then I'm going to find a way to make it happen for everyone else. And that may seem like where these words are coming from, but these words are coming from the place of there's nothing else for you to achieve either. You're already there. And in a weird kind of way, it makes no difference to me whether your mind and body, whether your mind has the thought today, everything is the awareness, or whether it takes another 10 years, or whether it's already happened. Whether that body-mind is a clear reflection of truth, or a clear reflection of the illusion that we're a separate being, it really doesn't make any difference at all to the awareness. To the seeker, it's catastrophic, but to the awareness, it's already free and it's already home. And there could be no idea of otherwise. Awareness can never not be awareness. Even when it's sure it's a human being, it's never a human being. Even when it's sure it's unenlightened, it never is. Never. So maybe it's becoming clearer for you that the whole seeking journey is a thought journey. It's a journey in thought. A successive progression of thought, starting with I am this body, going right through to everything is this, or I am everything, whichever way it shows itself. And that you're watching that whole process, thinking it's you, like you've got a really good movie on that you're watching. And this movie starts to get really boring. At first it's really good, and then it starts to get really boring, and then it gets really depressing. And it runs out of plot lines, so it starts to do the same old plot lines again that it started the movie with. And by this point, This movie's been going on for hundreds of lifetimes or thousands. And eventually you realize it's never going to come to a conclusion, this movie. It's just going on and on and on for the sake of going on. And at some point you just turn the screen off, you turn the TV off. It's still going on that, but I don't need to identify with it. And this was, for me, the quietest moment, absolutely quietest moment. It wasn't extraordinary at all. There weren't any tears or, amazing laughter. There certainly wasn't any fireworks. I was just sat here with a cup of tea, like I've done many days before. It just became clear that nothing would ever change the awareness. Whatever the state of the body, mind, whatever the state of my life, my relationships, my finances, wherever I thought I was, wherever thought it was in awakening, I am as I always was and will be forever. And that had been the same no matter how many bodies had come and gone or will come in the future. And I dropped the seeker. And that sounds like an amazing feat. It was just, just like that. Oh, that's not me. And there was a kind of a lack of interest then in the seeking, finally. Not because the seeking is wrong, it's just got nothing to do with me.